Before we get into this video, I just kind of wanted to address the fact that there's some clicking going on in the background from my microphones throughout it at certain points. I didn't realize it until after I'd finished recording the entire video, so unfortunately that's just something that's going to be there. I did try to get rid of as much as possible of it though. What's good, y'all? If you've never been here before, which is probably most of you, thanks for being here. And if you have been here before and you decided to come back again, you're a fucking legend and I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here, really. I've been wanting to make videos more frequently because I enjoy the process of like recording and editing and all that. And also just because I wanted to like broaden my horizons musically this year because I really wasn't listening to a lot of music last year, which is kind of what caused me to not really record a lot of videos. So I posed a challenge to myself of listening to an album a day from the Rate Your Music top albums of all time, not only to allow myself to record more videos, but also to allow myself to experience music that I maybe never would have, and as well as letting you guys maybe see me listen to an album that you love for the first time and getting to experience it again with me. The first album on this list is none other than Kendrick Lamar's 2015 release To Pimp a Butterfly, which, if I'm being honest, I have never really listened to all the way through until this point in my life, which I know you're probably thinking, how the fuck did you miss this one? It's such a big moment in the history of music throughout the course of my life, at least. Having really only recognized one song from this track list, that being the seventh track, All Right, which I'm sure all of you, even people who haven't listened to this album, have probably heard before. I was kind of expecting the album to carry a lot of the same vibes as this song, and while I was right to an extent, I don't think I could have predicted how like electric this album really feels listening all the way through it from front to back, because it is way different than what this song itself gives off. The production's all really sick here. It's really well done. A lot of funk influence all throughout it, and a lot of really consistent and very clear metaphors and themes all throughout every single song, even from the very beginning with him on the first song, likening the ghetto he grew up with to a cocoon and him being the butterfly, so to speak, that broke out of it and became famous, as well as likening his relationship with the rap game to a romantic relationship where he describes that he feels as though his love for the rap game has turned into a lust for what he can get out of it by being famous and rich from it. My favorite song on this track list has Kendrick detailing an instance where he brought one of his friends to the BET Awards, and rather than being supportive of all the people within his community that had made it to the point that they're at, where they're receiving all the praise that they are at this award show, he instead sees all these artists around him as an opportunity for him to steal. Along with Kendrick sharing his experience with his friend, he also shares his feelings of being institutionalized by the ghetto he was raised in, and describes that if he were in the Oval Office, he would still feel the necessity to do all the things that he did in the ghetto, like bulletproofing his car, smoking weed in the Oval Office, and setting his friends free from jail. The first half of this album is honestly where it really shines for me personally. There's a lot of really good songs back to back that have a lot of really clear metaphors, and they're just easy to listen to, really feel good music. But the back half, it kind of teeters off for me personally. I understand what he was going for here, but spoken word, in my opinion, it just, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't vibe with it. So there being a lot of spoken word towards the end of the album really did make it kind of difficult for me to listen to it all the way through, especially the last song on the album, Mortal Man, which isn't really even a song, it's just spoken word for 10 minutes, which I did listen all the way through, and I did go back on Genius and read through all of it to kind of form my opinions. But in general, I kind of just don't have a lot to say. Like I said, spoken word isn't really my vibe, so I'm not really gonna like be the type of person to be like, you should listen to this. In the context of this album, it is a really good way to end it, but for me personally, it spoken word just doesn't really sit. Overall, everything in this album comes together beautifully with some very admirable lyricism and a quality of like mixtures and concepts that all just flow really, really well together. I give it an 8 out of 10. I know it's going to be a bit controversial, seeing as how most people hailed this album as like a pinnacle of his career and kind of like a pinnacle of rap in general, which I do see how that could be on the table. But for me personally, there are some things that sort of weigh this album down a little bit and keep it from being up there as perfect for me. Thank you all for being here and listening to me rant about this album. If you have anything you'd like to suggest to me, or even some opinions you'd like to share about this album as well, don't be afraid to leave a comment for me to read. I will read all of them because I'm a very small YouTuber at the moment, and I enjoy the camaraderie of having y'all around. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.